that? Oh God, I'm gonna die. I gotta get this on camera. No. Hey everybody, welcome to the Marino Show. I'm your host, David Marino, and I'm welcoming back Chris Rowan, the owner of Buffalo Bill's House. You may remember this film was featured in The Silence of the Lambs, and you can actually rent this home out. Chris bought it several years ago, actually now. I actually
21.
Yeah, I actually interviewed you right after, you bought the property,
You did.
but you can actually rent this house out, spend the night. It's a horror fan's dream. So one of the things, though, I really wanted to have you back on for, Chris, is the fact that this is the 35th anniversary of the film's release. And I love Silence of the Lambs. It's one of my favorite films. Sometimes it's hard to call it a horror film because I feel like it's a psychological drama, but
It's got a little something for everybody.
it's such a classic.
It really is.
And so with that coming up, you have some fun things up your sleeve that are happening September. So why don't we start with that and talk to me about, what people can take part in and what you're going to be holding there at the home.
Yeah. So, in honor and celebration of the big 35th anniversary of Silence being released, it was released February 14th, 1991, Valentine's Day, but specifically September 18th through 20th. We are bringing Brooke Smith, the actress from Silence of the Lambs, famous for playing Catherine Martin, Buffalo Bill's captured victim, the one who was terrorized by Bill and forced to moisturize her skin, or else she got the hose again. Brooke will be coming to Buffalo Bill's house, located in Perryopolis, PA. We're about 25 miles out of Pittsburgh. She is going to be doing a full weekend of appearances, the 18th through the 20th. She'll be taking guided tours with the fans, telling them about some of her experiences on set. Of course, doing meet and greets, autographs, photo ops. We're going to have her get into the well in our world famous basement. The well was built as a recreation in partnership with legendary effects artist Tom Savini, who is a local Pittsburgh resident. And she'll get in and do a custom photo op with the fans in the well in costume. It's going to be super badass. And the big blowout of the weekend, which is one night only on Saturday, the 19th of September, we're actually, for the first time ever, screening Silence of the Lambs with a full live Q&A with Brooke in attendance. She's going to be telling lots of stories about her time on set, and then we're going to turn the questions over to the fans and let them interact and fire away some of their most burning questions about filming Silence of the Lambs. So it's going to be 3 days of nostalgia, pop culture, horror, basically all the stuff that we live for, and I'm honored to bring this super intimate and exciting event to Buffalo Bill's house this September.
Well, and the fact that this is the first time you're screening it with her being there and doing a Q&A, having an actor from the film, that's such an opportunity for any horror fan, especially a fan of this film. In terms
Absolutely.
of tickets and how that all works, like, what is that like? Do people have to buy them ahead of time, or like what's the whole sort of plan for that?
Yeah, so tickets and more information, very easy to access. You could just go to buffalobillshouse.com. That's where tickets are being sold. We're doing 3 ticketing options. You could purchase just the guided tour. You could purchase just the screening and the Q&A, or you can go full VIP, which includes a guided tour of your choice. There will be 3 a day, so 9 total tours over the weekend with Brooke. She will appear at every single tour, and then the one-off screening of Silence on Saturday night. We also, if you go VIP, get a quite a nice little Buffalo Bill's House goodie swag bag as well included. So you want to pick up some tickets and you want some more info about how it works, BuffaloBillsHouse.com is the place to find it. Of course, we also have lots of info posted on our socials as well, Instagram and Facebook.
So, since we last did our interview, which I was telling you before we started this recording, that was like 3 years ago, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, man, time flies, doesn't it, dude?
I know, it's crazy. But in that time, I have seen, your social media and all the different events that you've been holding at the home, along with obviously people being able to spend the night and all
Mhm.
of that. Um, how has it been going in terms of like business and just how you've started to expand beyond just the rental of the home?
Yeah, when we first chatted, back in 23, we had just rolled out at that time guided tours. We opened up in 2021, and for the first year and a half or so, it was just exclusively overnight stays. The house sleeps up to 8 guests, and we consider ourselves a vacation rental. So, what that means is when you book from us, book the house, you are renting the entire home privately to you and your group. You're not grabbing a room and sharing common living areas with other groups. You're literally renting the Silence of the Lambs house exact just to you and your group. Somewhere about a year and a half after that, we rolled out guided tours, which is another great format. We offer a 2-hour guided tour. We usually do it spring through fall, kind of May through October are the months we do it. Open the home up, so because a lot of people want to see it but might not have the ability to do a full dedicated overnight. So you still get to take all the awesome photos and get to hear some history as well. And then after guided tours, we really wanted to start engaging um, the home as an open to be used for professional on location filming. I work in the film production business and have for about 22 years now. I'm an art director and a prop stylist. We work in the art department, and basically we handle props and aesthetics and set needs for the aesthetics of the shoots. And I've always kind of seen long term Buffalo Bills House growing and being a place where professional film productions can come in and shoot. So to date, we've had the heavy metal band Taproot come in. They filmed a music video there about a year and a half ago, which was really, really rad. Came out super cool. And we just had our very first feature film shoot there. It was a horror feature. It's currently on the festival circuit. It's called The Barn Part 3, and it takes place on Halloween night. It's a total 80s throwback slasher style movie. It's got Courtney Gaines in it and Kelly Maroney, William Ragsdale from Fright Night, Felissa Rose, Ari Lehman from the original Friday the 13th. A lot of genre veterans. It's a great movie. I highly. It's literally playing all across the country on the festival circuit. It just had its world premiere in Pittsburgh. We shot the first 15 minutes. The movie opens at Buffalo Bill's house. I won't say much, but there are death scenes. There are kill scenes at the house, and I finally got to fulfill a lifelong dream. I did some custom prop work for the movie. I don't want to give too much away, but that prop work I did led me to playing a monster and having a kill scene at my own house. So I got to kill one of the earlier victims in the film using one of the props that I made. So you could check that out. Check out the Barn 3. It's out there on the festival circuit.
That's really awesome. And, you know, as you mentioned, being in the industry and production and really I would imagine you've seen the ups and downs of the film industry. I mean, here in Austin, it's the same. It's a big place to shoot films. Like Austin has become that place. But it must feel good being able to have this property to offer to filmmakers and give back in some way that they can find or scout a location that is unique and also has that historical flair and really gives a unique kind of vibe to a film. But I imagine for you, was that part of aside from obviously you're trying to expand business, but being in the production industry and being in the film industry, was that important for you to actually have this, help filmmakers in some way and give back to that industry?
Absolutely. I mean, I've wanted to be, in the film industry since I got out of college. I started as a PA, doing gopher runs and, all that type of stuff just to get acclimated. There was no quick rise to the top. I certainly paid my dues on a lot of different style productions, from music videos to features, television and whatnot, still photography shoots. But being that the home is such a unique footprint, it's a stunning home. I mean, of course, it's the Silence of the Lambs house, but the home in itself is so picturesque, as you can see behind me. It's built in 1910. It's a Queen Anne Victorian home in architectural style, which is vast use of exposed brickwork. It's a riverfront property, where actually our local river is 100 feet in front of the house of the main porch. Um, it was huge for me to hit upon what you just said, to kind of give back in a way and make the home accessible to other filmmakers and other productions who might be looking for a very unique footprint with, of course, some famous film history attached to it in its own right. But it's kind of something that was in the back of my head upon purchasing the property. I knew it was never going to be the first, bullet point on the checklist, or even the second. That was definitely the stays and the tours, because we had to get open. But I did long term see it going there for sure. And in the 3 years since we've chatted last, finally been able to roll that aspect of it out, and like say the Barn 3, coming in and doing art department on that, and this amazing production with genre veterans that I appreciate and I grew up watching. Using the home as a footprint, seeing the home itself breathe new life into a new film. 35 years later, I just went to the world premiere in Pittsburgh like 2 months ago. It's such a badass, fun slasher movie. But seeing that was more of a payoff than anything. You're getting to expose a whole new generation of filmmakers, of people looking to shoot to this iconic location with a lot of film history. And the same thing, it was kind of a very full circle moment going to the music video that was shot at the house when Taproot shot at the house, which was it was about 2 years ago, maybe 2024 or so. And the whole band stayed. They were on tour, and they wanted to film this music video. And I was all for it. I remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, seeing Taproot, open up for Ozzy Osbourne on Ozfest, when I was a kid, and here we are, fast forward 25 years later, and this band I watched, heavily in rotation back in the day, is in my house making a music video. It just goes to show you that there are so many ideas out there for filmmakers to utilize. If I could provide a really unique footprint for them to tell a story, then I consider it an honor and a privilege.
Yeah, and I have to imagine too, it's got to be a proud moment for you to see, like, where you started, and you're still doing the rentals and all of that, but being able to now be in that moment where you can expand a bit and do some additional things, as you mentioned, that you've wanted to do. I also know that you are always at various conventions. I know you're always on the road. You're always busy. I see your, like I said, your social media, and I see you at various things with different horror actors and just fans in general of the film. Um, how would you, because we've talked about this, I think, last time. In the horror genre, there's so many different types of horror films, right? I mean, you have the slashers and you have the psychological dramas, which I would categorize Silence of the Lambs. But what are the fans like that specifically love Silence of the Lambs? Because there is a difference in the fandom for, like, a, let's say, a Friday the 13th franchise as opposed to a Halloween. I mean, I never assume that they're all the same, but when you think of the fandom around Silence of the Lambs, how would you describe those fans, or the people at least that you've interacted with thus far?
Yeah, that's a really wonderful question, and I would say it's pretty varied. I wouldn't put it to a specific age bracket or even a demographic. It's pretty varied, but I hear things from people who have stayed or taken the tour, really fascinating stories about why silence is such a personal thing for them, and why it ranks up there on, it's either their number one or at least their top, couple favorite movies of all time. I've had quite a few people tell me they pursued careers in criminology because of Jodie Foster's portrayal of Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs and her evolution. Right, she's kind of obviously super green in the beginning of the movie. Right, she doesn't really know exactly what's going on, and everyone's kind of talking down to her in the beginning of the film, but the joke's on them because she's as smart as a whip, and obviously cracks the case by apprehending and executing Buffalo Bill at the end of the movie. But I've had quite a few people mention that it shaped their careers and gave them a direction to go in, which I found very fascinating. I found a lot of people fascinated by the fact that the as a style, like psychological thrillers and whatnot. The house itself, yes, Silence of the Lambs, pretty much all throughout the house, lots of artwork that's been donated, so it's kind of like a living, breathing museum. But then we have this epic game room upstairs that we kind of affectionately call Buffalo Bill's Playhouse, and it's basically my childhood wrapped up in a large rec room, very super 70s, 80s inspired. And that's the room that has a lot of pop culture. It's got, stuff from the 80s and, Michael Myers and artwork from action movies and stuff like that. And I see people gravitate to basically the nostalgia of the generation it came from, specifically that late 80s early 90s vibe, right? That's a big connect that I feel, and that's why I brought up that room kind of embodies the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. It's super retro. There's 500 VHS movies, probably another 800 DVDs. We got full size arcade games, board games. Slow down, right? Like, and it's cool. It's really cool to see that nostalgia and that love for the pop culture that I love fascinate a whole different group of people.
I totally resonate with that because I'm a product of growing up in the 80s and I love the slasher films and
Same. I mean,
Jason.
I'm yeah, I mean there's my Michael Myers tattoo. I
Yes.
mean I
Yeah.
mean I grew up with the slashers. I mean, I evolved into Silence of the Lambs, but some of the earliest film memories I have are Halloween, Jaws, uh, uh, Friday the 13th, 4 specifically, final
Oh,
chapter,
yes.
and then a lot of the 80s action because my dad was a big action junkie. So, like Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, Predator, anything Schwarzenegger was in. So, I had a pretty steady diet of what was, super popular in that timeline. And this home is kind of a the culmination of that love affair with the decade.
And I definitely think there's a nostalgia that, I mean, even the younger generation goes back to
They
some of the
do.
musicians from the 90s, a
They
lot of the
they
grunge that
do.
we grew up with, and a lot of that, and even the films there, and even the filmmakers. It's interesting to me to see some of these newer films that are coming out that are these young filmmakers that are taking a they're making it new, they're making it their own, but they're taking kind of a page out of back
Yes, yes,
then. And
yesteryear.
yeah, and
It, it's ab-
I
it's
go
sorry, it's
ahead.
it's absolutely true. And you hit upon something there. There's a very interesting thing, like, about the people who are coming. A lot of it, I hear a lot from younger people who maybe weren't alive even when Silence came out in 1991. Oh, this was a movie that, like, I bonded with my parents over. Like, my dad loved this movie, or my mom was obsessed with this movie, and we would watch it like over and over and over. And I have a very soft spot for hearing those stories because, same thing, I went to the movies constantly in the 80s with my dad. Like, he was a movie guy. So, like I said, whether it was the latest installment of Friday the 13th or whatever blockbuster action movie was out that week, we went to go see it all. So I have memories of that too. And these people who weren't even alive in 1991, I mean, so what, sub 35 years old, but they saw it on VHS, or they saw it on DVD, or they streamed it, whatever. But they have a connection with their family or a loved one over the film, and a bonding experience over it. So they make the pilgrimage here to feel closer to that connection. And that is is would warm my dark, spooky heart when I get to hear a story like that. So, you know.
That's what it's all about. Same for me, interviewing different people in the horror genre. My dad, he passed about 11 years ago, but he loved Jason and my dad had a really, we have a similar sense of humor. He had a morbid sense of humor. He would laugh because he thought Jason was funny. So he would laugh when
Right.
he'd kill people and we would watch those films together.
Your dad
And
and my dad would have got along.
yeah, it was so much fun, to watch those and
It
it's
was.
such
I
a,
remember seeing we saw all of them in the theater. I think the first
yeah,
one I saw in the theater was Jason Lives in '86, you know, but we saw
yeah,
all the Michael Myers movies, all the I
yeah.
was definitely obsessed with all that. He bought me Fangoria and the whole
Hmm.
thing, and I had the first Freddy doll that
Yeah.
whatever manufacturer made that talked but didn't really talk very well, and like, all that stuff, all of it.
Yeah.
I still have from 1986 or 7 when I was a little kid. It's in rough shape, but it's so sentimental. I have my first Freddy mask and my first Michael Myers mask. I mean, they are in rough shape, but
But you
I
have
still
them.
own them and I still have them. And no matter, what shape they're in, I would never get rid of them. So
I love that. So I know you put a lot of work into this home before you got it all ready to open and for the fans to enjoy. Is there any detail in this home that you've obsessed over that the casual observer might not notice, but that you've really made sure that I want this to really be as authentic or as possible to the film?
that's a really wonderful question. Being in the art department, and as they say, the devil's in the details. One of the nicest things I hear from people who have either toured Buffalo Bill's house or stayed overnight for a weekend or a getaway, if people are kind enough to post a review on, Google or Yelp or wherever, more times than not, the attention, specifically attention to detail, is noted in the review. And it absolutely is so heartwarming to me that people see like that the lengths I went to down to. I'll give you a perfect example. We have a little buffet server in the dining room. It's right next to where Buffalo Bill drops the business cards when Jodie Foster draws her firearm on him. And right to the left, there's just a nice little buffet server. It's got a little cocktail mixer in it, like a little drink kit or whatever. And in the bucket, in the ice bucket, are drink stirrers. Well, on the ends of those drink stirrers are little tiny disco balls, and it's like that's just the smallest little detail. It's just some people say you'd never even notice it, but it's that times 1,000. Those little details, when you apply it to a 3,000 square foot home, creates a certain sentiment and creates a vibe, and people say this is amazing. This is like living in a museum for the weekend, except I get to hang out and watch movies with my friends and family or play arcade games and make memories. At the end of the day, Buffalo Bill's house is meant for memory creating, and my biggest goal is to just provide a footprint where people who have the appreciation for pop culture, for cinema, for horror, for retro nostalgia to come and create memories. I think it really lends itself well to it. And when I do get to meet guests, sometimes they'll come up to me, "Oh, hey, I stayed at your house." They'll stop by the booth at some movie convention I'm promoting at, and they're like, "Oh, I loved sitting on the front porch and having coffee in the morning and just looking out at the river. Or we did a fire and made s'mores, and then we went upstairs and watched." Scary movies till 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I felt like a kid again. It was so great. If I could provide the footprint for that, then it's a job well done as far as I'm concerned.
Is there anything that you're still tweaking with the home, or do you have it pretty much where you want it? Or are there some other things that you'd like to do?
There's always stuff on the list at Buffalo Bill's house. There's always expansion. There's always things on the list. We've renovated a brand new fire pit area outside for our guests to enjoy a nice campfire if they're so inclined. A lot of people like to go out and have a little nightcap or hang out there and have a fire. There is um, a caboose. I don't know if you remember, but the home came included with a caboose on the property. It's a 1943 chassis system caboose. It was a conductor car dating back to the 40s. It came included with the sale of the house, and it's stunning. It's just such a piece of pure Americana history, like right on the side of the house. And I would love, love, love to renovate that and make that a usable footprint. So that hopefully is coming sooner than later. That's definitely high on the bucket list for sure.
How did your connection with Brooke happen? I mean, obviously you own the home, so that's kind of people would assume that's how you met. But how did you get into connection with Brooke? Was it at a convention, or did you just reach out to her? What happened in
Yeah,
terms
that's
of
a
your?
great story. I guess it was 2023, right? Because she did appear in 2023. So it was early 2023. And one of the shows I was on the road at, I believe it was Monster Mania in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, right outside of Philly. And she was appearing. And I was like, oh my God, fantastic. So I mean, I'm the kind of guy who is just gonna like march right up and say what I gotta say and throw it out there. And hey, speaking, we've been talking about our dads a little bit. My dad taught me at a very early age, never be afraid to ask for something, because if you don't ask, then you definitely won't get. And that stuck with me, well into adulthood. And that's, in some capacity, I'm not generally too shy when it comes to like throwing something out there, see what happens, let's see. So, went up to her, introduced myself, and, said hello. And this is what I'm up to, and where you shot some of your scenes for Silence. And she was super laid back, such a sweet lady, super cool. We chatted for a few minutes. I threw out the idea. She introduced me to her manager, and we exchanged some contact information to continue the conversation. And that was the beginning of how it happened. And then, we crossed some I's and dotted some T's, figured out our schedules, and she was an absolute amazing guest. The fans like lost their minds. I mean, like she came in and we actually watched her scenes in the living room with the fans, and she's telling stories at the same time. I mean, it's like from the fandom side of it, just she's awesome. She's just great all the way around.
That has to be surreal, though. I mean, you like seeing this film as as a young,
Yeah,
younger
kid.
kid.
I was like 10, 11 ish.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then here in like, whatever 2023 and now 2026, you're like
yeah.
standing in this home and she's there giving the I mean that would like that even boggles my mind and I'm not even you. But like
It's so interesting because if you would have said the things that have happened by proxy of, like Brooke Smith being at the house and taking photos with the fans, like she's in the pajamas, she's in the well built by Tom Savini and his team. Like this is an idea that I had, right? And like because the goal of the house was like, when I did this, I was like, and I'll be honest, I always tell everybody, I'll be like, I don't have any. I have a film background. I have a production background. I didn't have a background in hotels and, hospitality, if you will. So really what became the footprint for the house became, if I was coming to this place and I was putting down my hard-earned cash, what would I want out of it? And then I just followed my heart and my mind and said, well, that's what we're going to do. I wanted it to be as authentic as humanly possible while being fun and nostalgic and retro and stuff like that. And, having Brooke there was just amazing. The fact that she's coming back for the 35th and we're doing the screening, it's like September 19th is once in a lifetime. I mean, there are places like conventions you can go and meet, celebrities. I love them. I work them. I love that it makes it accessible to people to meet their favorite stars and talk about movies and hear panels. But how many filming locations can you go watch a movie with the star and ask her your own questions? I mean, one night only. I mean, that's pretty damn special if you ask me, because I would do that for a number of movies, and I'm honored to kind of provide the footprint for other people to do it as well.
yeah, that's amazing. That's just such an amazing opportunity for fans and for you as well. Um I have to go back to this because I know we talked about it last time, but people who may have not seen that interview. So the original scene where she is in the well, that was shot on a sound stage. But
Correct.
but as you mentioned Tom Savini's name earlier, you recreated all of this in the home and Tom Savini was involved in all of that. Can you kind of walk us through again what you did to recreate that scene?
Absolutely. So, this the real scene. Obviously, the footage was filmed on a soundstage. No, full disclosure, there is no actual 45 foot, hole in the basement of Buffalo Bill's house. That would be a hard thing to get around. Ours is a recreation, but it's done in partnership with Tom Savini, who does live locally in Pittsburgh, and Tom runs a special effects makeup program about 25 or so minutes from Buffalo Bill's house. It's at a place called the Douglas Education Center. And they have two independent programs. One's the Tom Savini makeup program, and the other is the Romero filmmaking program. George Romero, obviously, another lifelong Pittsburgh resident. Pittsburgh has massively deep roots to the classic horror genre, and so many great things shot there. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Creep Show, the list goes on. Um, but ultimately, Tom's school and a lead designer were established, a guy named Jerry Gergley, and we reimagined, if you will, a more shallow, safer, of course, version of of the well, and it's built off of actual screen grabs. Jerry, who was the lead designer, and he is I believe his official title is technical director over at Tom's program at the college. Um, Jerry was a makeup artist on Silence of the Lambs. He did work on it 35 years ago. He did glamour makeup on Ted Levine, and did a number of sequences for Silence. So to have him kind of lead the blueprint, if you will, was really fascinating. And to have Tom, when Tom came to the house, and I'm showing him this coal cellar, which is what the room really was. Pre-modern day heating, you just fed your house with coal. That's how you did it everywhere. And this is the former coal cellar where the well now sits. And I'm walking in here, and he's like, "So you want to put the well right here?" And I'm like, "Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much what I want to do." It's been rattling around up here for like months and months and months as I've owned this house. It's got to go here. And I knew within 5 seconds. I will be completely honest with you. I knew within 5 seconds of opening up that coal cellar. When I pulled the door for the first time, I looked down and I was like, instantaneous. The well. I don't know how it's going to get here. I don't know who's going to put it in, but it's going in this house. So fast forward a few months, Tom's team, created it. It's fantastic. It's about 4-ish or so feet deep, so perfectly safe to get in and out of. Everyone goes in, recreates the scenes. We've got audio from the movie playing, like the physical sequences where the dialogue is exchanged between Catherine Martin and Buffalo Bill, and even some of Clarice towards the end of the movie. And it's just pure pop culture nostalgia.
Another one of the experiences you mentioned people being able to kind of recreate the scene, but I always think of Precious and how she had the dog with her in the well.
Yes.
Do you have like a Precious replica or what?
Oh, Dewey, we got so many requests from the guests, the overnighters, and the tour guests that we actually started manufacturing our own Precious, the little Bichon. So check this bad girl out here. This is Precious. This is our official Precious right here, and she's got a custom neckerchief. See if we could read what it says here. This is one of her taglines. It says, "Would you pet me? I'd pet me. I'd pet me so hard," with her name on it. Be, you know, because we like to walk a real fine line at Buffalo Bill's house, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. So yes, Precious is well represented. She's available for photo ops, and she loves chin scratches too. So
Oh, that is so cool. And it's those things as you mentioned earlier that make the experience. Those little touches like that fans remember and again, like you said, it has to be such a great feeling to see the fans come to see them explore this house, to see them stay, and then kind of hear the stories when you're at
It
conventions.
really is fascinating, and speaking on the fans and stuff, and in addition to the fans, we've been fortunate enough that a lot of the horror celebrity community has kind of taken an interest in it, which I'm really really grateful for. Some of the namesakes behind you, specifically, I'm referring to your Jason artwork, but we've had Kane Hodder's been to the house, and he is a sweetheart. And he was, I grew up on the Kane Hodder installments of Friday the 13th, and I just thought he was the coolest thing on the planet when I was little, and I liked his portrayal of Jason. And if you would have told, 8-year-old version of me, in the 80s, watching these movies over and over and over on VHS tape, fast forward, 35, 38 years later, that, here he is in my house, there's such an appreciation for it because it really starts to become a full circle thing. Like all these characters and all the actors and actresses who portray these characters that are so near and dear to me have sort of started to come in certain times and rally around the house and the concept. In addition, we've had Doug Bradley's been to the house, of course, Pinhead, and he's great. Him and his wife Steph are great people. Pinhead used to scare the crap out of me as a child in the 80s. I mean, I laughed with Jason, but Pinhead, definitely left a mark. And Ari Lehman's been to the house. He's stayed a number of times. I think it's two or three by now. He's a great guy with his metal band, punk,
The
First
first
Jason.
Jason, yeah.
Yep, great, great, great bunch of guys. We've had Spencer Inc. at the house from Ice Nine Kills. Awesome dude, I mean, he's touring the world, making great music, and Dan Roebuck's been there from all of Rob Zombie's movies and stuff. And Dan's basically become a friend of mine, just a real sweetheart. I'm honored that it's resonating with the community it's intended for. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I wouldn't have started it if I didn't think it had a shot. But it could have gone any way. It really could have. I mean, does this movie mean as much to others as it means to me? Well, you got to open the doors to answer that question. And I'm so grateful that the fan reaction. I've always said I'm a fan first. A lot of the stuff up in the playhouse, in the game room, if you will, at the house, is not stuff I purchased for that game room. That's literally my personal collection. Those are my 1,000 DVDs and VHSs. Those were my arcade games. Those were my posters hanging in my own house. That I kind of wanted to gift, if you will, to the home so that everyone could enjoy them. And to see people having good times and creating those memories in a footprint that I, helped bring to light, it's just the coolest thing in the world, man. I got to tell you.
Where do you see yourself, going in the future? I mean, you've kind of accomplished a lot already with the home in terms of, you've accomplished what you wanted, which opening it and having people stay and have the experience. But then now you've expanded and had, film shoots there, which you'll continue to do. Um, is there anything else that you want to do, or is there? I mean, I'll ask this question: is there another property you want to
Yeah,
buy that's related to a
that's a great
film?
question. That is a wonderful question. Never say never. I always believe never say never. If given the opportunity, I would absolutely do this to another property, like do the experience thing to another movie property. They don't pop up that much. I mean, a couple have moved in the last few years. There's certainly have been some chatter, and there's really only a handful of them operational, open to the public like we are in the whole country. It's really only a handful. There's not many, but I would absolutely uh, would love to do it to another one. But where I do see, you're asking like what's kind of left to do, or where do I see it going? So in the future, um, it won't be in 2026, but I'm hoping 2027 is the year. I would like to actually step outside the world of Silence of the Lambs, if you will, and start engaging other special events at the house. Um, related to franchises complete and actors and actresses completely unrelated to Silence, kind of make it a hub for the genre and like not only the horror genre but film, you know, film fans in general, but also pop culture and nostalgia. So I am thinking very heavily about doing other special events for 2027. I'm not prepared to say what yet, but we could certainly talk about that when it gets a little firmer. But I have two very specific ideas for 2027 that would be a special event, kind of the same way we're bringing in Miss Brooke Smith for the screening and the fan thing in September, but completely outside of the Silence world. And then the home kind of becomes a celebration in its own right of the pop culture, of the nostalgia, and of the genre itself. So I see expansion in that regard in the
Yeah.
future. You
That's
know,
great. That would be really, and it's a great way for you to continue to build upon what you've already started, but then to expand into these other horror genre or pop culture, whatever it is. That's really
yeah.
awesome.
Well, I mean, I feel it's all related. It really is, right? I mean, you see these things all the time. I mean, people who love horror generally love, rock and metal. They love, pro wrestling. They love comics. I mean, we all like a lot of the same stuff, right? I mean, it's almost one hand washes the other, right? And I'm the same way, I mean, I love all that stuff. I've been going to, rock and metal concerts since the, mid 90s and I've been to some WrestleManias and all that stuff and I just have fun with it. I just appreciate what I appreciate the most is that this kind of over the top, larger than life presentation, right, of of the pop culture and the fandom of this movie, right? I mean, these characters are iconic. Here we're talking about it because it's the 35th anniversary. So I read an article a while back that was a fascinating read, and it specifically cited that if you were to add up the physical time that Anthony Hopkins is on screen as Hannibal Lecter and that Ted Levine is on screen as Buffalo Bill, if you added that all up, it doesn't even total 30 minutes. It's extremely their involvement as characters and for the sake of this story is relatively limited. But what makes it so special is that in the short amount of time that the characters of Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill and the performances given by Anthony Hopkins and Ted Levine were both so iconic that here we are 35 years later, and these are scenes and moments in film that are still pure pop culture, pure nostalgia, and are still endlessly riffed, right? I mean, Kevin Smith in Clerks 2 with Jay, doing the dance and the whole thing with Goodbye Horses. That's so freaking great. Um, about, God, I don't know if it was when you interviewed me last, but my Instagram blew up with messages a few years back. Everybody was bringing up Family Guy. Family Guy. Have you
Uh-huh.
seen the Family Guy? Have you seen the Family Guy? And I like Family Guy, but I guess I missed whatever everybody was talking about. And they did an episode where pulls up to the house. It's Buffalo Bill's house in animated cartoon form, and he goes in, he does the dance and the whole thing, the disco ball, and I'm like, that's pure pop culture. That's what separates the moments people remember from anything else. Like, what's a one-hit wonder, right? Oh, it is, it was hot for a minute, and then it disappears. But these films, Silence of the Lambs, Friday the 13th, we've been talking about, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, some of the others. These are decades long commitments, and it's a love affair is what it is, and I'm in the same love affair as everybody else, like I was so excited to just read, hey, they're finally doing getting the Freddy situation situated. Finally there's going to be a new Freddy movie sooner than later. Like, that's great. Like, it's moments like that kind of puts you in the echelon of like why it's still relevant, right? And those scenes and those moments, whether it's Buffalo Bill dancing or Hannibal dropping the Chianti line or Clarice finally foiling Bill at the end of the movie, it doesn't matter which one you relate to. What it does matter is that when you bring it up, everyone remembers it because it's ingrained in like the lexicon of like what this whole community is about.